Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Osetaru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please help me out by giving it a thumbs up, passing it on, and maybe dropping us a comment in the comment section. All right, guys. I was having a conversation, a very interesting conversation with this guy. And he was telling me that him and his wife are in couples therapy right now, currently. And their relationship has had some ups and downs. But one of the things that's happened is that she has consistently done things to sabotage the relationship. And he never really understood this. She started doing this when they were just dating. He thought it would go away as time progressed. They got married. He kept thinking that every level they went through, it would end. Every so often, she starts a drama. She starts a fight, a big one, and they get into something. And he's like, what the hell is this about? So they did a lot of therapy. They've been going for a couple of weeks now. And one of the things that came up in therapy was that his wife, a Gemini, by the way, he's Aquarius, his wife does not love herself. The therapist said that she has a big issue with self-love. So they have her doing self-love exercises and things like that. So the husband said to me, because he didn't want to ask this question in front of his wife in therapy, he said to me, why is it that some people do not love themselves and others do? And I said, this all goes back to childhood. All of this, every issue that we have generally starts in childhood. And if it's not fixed, if it's not healed, then it follows us into puberty, into teenage years, and into our adult life. So at some point in time, these things have to be addressed. So I said 9 times out of 10, she more than likely, and this is based on the other things he told me, she more than likely went through a phase in her youth where she was unloved, or at least felt unloved. So when a person goes through that kind of thing as a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old, a lot of times what ends up happening is that they start to internalize that they're not good enough. So if your mother is neglectful and your father runs away, a child blames these things on themselves. And it's really detrimental because most of the time it has nothing to do with the child. But children, a lot of times, think if you don't love them, if you don't spend time with them, is something wrong with them. What's wrong with me that mommy doesn't love me? What's wrong with me that daddy doesn't come see me? They think it's them. And most of the time, it's not even them. It's adult stuff. It's adult stuff, stuff we haven't worked out. And our poor children are the ones who are left holding the bag. So more than likely, at some point in time, she was treated like she wasn't lovable. And instead of thinking, oh, it's their fault, they're just up, they're screwed up, because they're your parents. You think your parents are God for like the first 11 years of your life, So a child always internalizes this. So she internalized from their behavior that she was unlovable. So once you start to think you're unlovable, then you don't give yourself that love either. You start neglecting yourself the same way you were neglected by your parents. And people get self-love twisted. Self-love is not about conceit. Self-love is not about thinking, oh, I'm the shit. That is more along the lines of confidence, esteem, ego, those kind of things. Self-love is deeper than that. Self-love is caring about yourself. Self-love is knowing that you deserve happiness. You deserve good things. Self-love is caring for yourself. Self-love is fiercely protecting yourself against things that are harmful, such as people, situations, too much alcohol, too many drugs. A person who loves themselves fiercely is not going to stay in a relationship, for example, with somebody who's abusive, because they're going to love themselves too much to put themselves in that bad situation. A person who loves themselves are not going to let people step over them, step on them, step over their boundaries. A person that loves themselves takes care of themselves, and not just in physical ways, not just buying themselves Chanel bags or brand new shoes. They take care of themselves, mind, body, spirit, emotion. And we all deal with this to different levels, because some of us love ourselves more than others. But it has nothing to do, like I said, with conceit or, that kind of thing. Having confidence is a good thing, but a person can have confidence in their abilities and still not be being loving to themselves. When I was younger, I was confident in my abilities. I knew what I could and couldn't do. That was never a problem for me. But I never gave myself enough love. I would let myself be in bad situations. I would let myself be around people who didn't have my best interest at heart. I would date people who I shouldn't even be talking to, much less sleeping with. These are the things that happen when you don't love yourself. But from the outside looking in, you might be like, oh, well, she's confident, maybe even arrogant some days. But deep down inside, I'm not giving myself real love. Buying yourself a Gucci bag, buying yourself a Louis Vuitton, getting yourself a new car, those things can be seen as self-care, but that's not it. Like I said before, it goes deeper than just what you buy yourself, what you give yourself. It goes deeper. It goes to, how do you talk to yourself when you make a mistake? Do you say, damn, Queen, you fucked up again? Or do you say, you made a mistake, get back up, come on? How do you talk to yourself? Do you berate yourself? Do you yell at yourself? That has to do with self-love as well. So his question was why? And like I said, take it back. It's because at some point in time, someone gave you the impression that you were not lovable. But the truth is, according to the universe and according to the spirits and the angels, we're all lovable. It's just whether or not we know that and we believe that and we express that. So his wife, according to the therapist, has a problem with self-love. So she doesn't think she deserves her husband. So every so often she starts a drama, and it's not even that far apart. One drama, what sent them to therapy was that for a week straight, she was accusing him of different things. And he was like, what is going on here? Now, mind you, they haven't been married that long. So for a week straight, she was accusing him of things that had no reality, no basis in reality. She started several fights, and he was like, wait a minute, it's getting more frequent. And he knew right then and there that it wasn't just going to go away with a brand new diamond ring. So he decided they needed to go to therapy. They needed to go to couples therapy. She didn't want to go. And he told her, which is interesting to me because it's very rare for a man to say we need to go to couples therapy. It's usually the woman saying we need to go to couples therapy. So I was really happy that he stepped up to the plate in that way. But he said he wants to be with her. He doesn't want to get divorced, and he wants to see if they can fix things. So he asked her to go. She told him no, and he told her he's leaving if she didn't go. And he started packing his stuff. The next morning, she came to him crying and said she didn't want him to leave and she would try. So immediately after going through some therapy, he said to me, why is this happening? And I explained it. It all goes back to that original wound. And he was like, yeah, she mentioned that in therapy. She talked about being neglected by her father. She talked about her mother being more interested in her boyfriends and in her friends than she was interested in her. How many of us have one or both of these testimonies? And this is what happens with some people. Now, some people love themselves regardless of this. Some people have been taught that some people have learned from their parents' actions that they're not lovable, but love themselves anyway. So it doesn't happen to everybody. Some of us are just that strong-willed, but some of us do internalize it and then don't treat ourselves very well. So that's why it happens. And if you find yourself in that space, if you find yourself not loving yourself, if you find yourself staying in abusive situations, if you find yourself not looking out for your best interests, putting everybody and everything ahead of you, you need to do some self-love work. And typically, whenever a client comes to me and they need self-love work, the first thing I give them are the books by Louise L. Hay. And I'll link the books underneath this video. The first book I give them is the Love Yourself Workbook by Louise L. Hay. And it has a companion book called You Can Heal Your Life. Many of you who've been watching my channel have heard me recommend these books because I did these books and I've given them to hundreds of people, maybe thousands at this point, and told them to use them. Recently, I found 2 new books that help with this as well. There's one called Radical Self-Forgiveness. And the gentleman's name is Colin Tippin. The author's name is Colin Tippin. He has a book called Radical Self-Forgiveness, and he has one called Radical Forgiveness. If you have an issue with self-love, those 2 books also would be beneficial. Now, why do I recommend books for an emotional problem? Because your problem is in here and in here. So for many of us, not all of us, if we can understand it and internalize it in here, then we can change what's in here. And this is how I did it. So I'm giving you this information so hopefully you can do it too. All right, guys, if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I'll hook you up. Likewise, if you would like to talk to me, all my social media information will be underneath this video. And come back soon because I have so much more to say. See you later.